It's fine. I know where you are. I can see you. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and it's another beautiful day. And today's video, we are going to be talking about everything time-lapsey.
About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away. This is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow.
So we just made it to the first location of today, and possibly the only location for today, because today's video is going to be a little bit shorter than usual. Now, on this shot we've got one camera, this one just here, and then we got this one just up here that's in a very interesting position. And we're going to be talking about some time lapses today. Now, there is two ways that you can make a time lapse, or you can have a time lapse, or capture a time lapse, and there's some settings that I'm going to go over that have the nicest looking time lapse in regard to the motion blur that you actually have captured. Make sure the image is not looking through your screen or your flip out screen or your LCD screen, and make sure you're looking through the viewfinder. I then want to go into interval shooting timer, if I can talk, and then you'll be greeted with three different menus. The first will be when it starts. The second is going to be the amount of seconds between each photograph that your camera is going to take, and then also the amount of photograph it's going to take. I would recommend, depending on your settings of your camera, if you're doing a long exposure, so your shutter is longer than say for a second, if you want to know how to take this in photography, and this will also help you understand how to do a time-lapse version, because all you're doing in a time-lapse version is you are taking multiple images of long exposure images and you're stitching those together to give the illusion of time moving past. So make sure to go check out the video on the cards just here talking about how to take long exposure photography. And if you do not have an MD filter, you are going to need to do this at night time if you want to hold out that shutter, because otherwise you'll just get a very overexposed image, and you want to make the best images possible. So moving back to the menus, when you have actually chosen your settings, so I'll give you the example of having a shutter speed of 1 second and an f-stop. You want to bring this as far down or as close to the highest number as your lens can do, because you're not really going to look for a bokeh effect here, and you want to minimize the amount of light coming into your lens, so you can hold that shutter open for as long as you can, so you get the most amazing looking motion blur. So you need to think about how long your time lapse is going to last. If you want it to be on screen for say 5 seconds, you're going to want to make sure that you calculate the number of FPS you're going to use, so say 24 for example, and then you're going to times that number by the amount of seconds that you want your time lapse to use. And then you're going to want to take that number of pictures. So say I want my time lapse to take 10 seconds and I'm going to be playing it back at 24 FPS. I need to take 240 images for that time lapse to last 10 seconds. Now, let's go on to the best settings to use for a time lapse to get really nice motion blur. What you want to do is you want to set your shutter speed for as long as you can, anywhere between 1 and 6 seconds. The longer your shutter speed, the more dragged out your blur will be, or your motion blur will be, and the faster a subject moves, the less likelihood they are going to be inside that frame. So I would say the sweet spot is around between 1 second and 3 seconds depending on your scenario, and then you're going to want to set your f-stop to be around anywhere between 18 and 22, mainly because of this. You want as wide amount of focus points, so you want the entire image in focus and not just having a nice bokeh behind your subject. You want to keep your ISO as low as possible to get the cleanest image possible, and then you're going to set your camera off. Now, I would recommend you use a tripod for this, because then it's not going to move around, and the same rules that applied when you were taking long exposure photography, there's no way you're going to be able to hold your camera still for long enough to actually allow you to get a really nice clean image, and the only thing you want to be moving in this image is the motion blur. Now, what happens, say, if you don't hold the shutter, right? So if you just have an image that, say, is 1/20th of a second, you're not going to have those drawn out blurred lines whenever motion is in your image. You're just going to have loads of people darting around. Now if you want to go for this look, go for it, but personally I would say that it's better to hold the shutter because you get that beautiful motion blur. When you've taken all of your images from your camera, drop them into Lightroom, do any editing that you would like to them. So if you want to change the contrast, tweak the contrast, etc. like that. And once you've done that and you're happy with your image, you're going to shift click over all of the images. You're then going to go down to the bottom, there's a little sync button. You're going to click that sync button. Once that's done, you're going to give Lightroom just a couple of minutes because it's going to paste all of your attributes that you've edited your photo onto all of the other photos. Then you're going to export those as JPEG files, and then when you bring open into Premiere, Final Cut, or whatever editing video program you prefer, in this example I will be using Premiere Pro. What you're going to do is you're going to import it as if you would do any other video file, and then you are going to just select the first image in the sequence, and you're going to go at the very bottom, there's a little box, and you're going to click that, and then you're going to just click JPEG sequence, or whatever the file is called. So if you save it as a PNG, it'll be a PNG sequence, etc. And then you will be basically dealing with a piece of video, but with the 6K resolution or whatever you took your images in. So this gives you a lot more resolution to play with. And a little tip, adding motion into your time lapse, a little bit of scale motion, can really help sell this effect. So what you want to do is you want to go up to your scale keyframes. You want to set a keyframe at the start and a keyframe at the end. You want to change the scale of the first keyframe to be, say it's 30% to be the entire frame. So you're going to set this one to be about 30%, and then you're going to set the end one to be about 60%. So what's basically going to happen is your computer's going to slowly zoom in, digitally zoom in the frame, so it looks like you are doing a dolly zoom as whatever your time lapse is going. Okay guys, so that is going to wrap up today's vlog and video. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave it with a like. If this helped you out, then make sure to let me know in the comment section down below if you have any questions or any other tips about your time lapses and such like that. And feel free and enjoy the process of creating as usual. And I will see you tomorrow at 6 PM for a brand new video.